Hello again, Knights fans, and welcome to the fourth edition of the 2016 Knights Baseball Roundup. I'm Ty Mead here with head coach Gary Puccio. Coach, you played 5 times since we last spoke, a 3-game series down at Longwood. A little bit of a tough break. You were tied in the 8th inning of each game, including the series opener, where you actually had the bases loaded in the top of the 9th inning, and your excellent shortstop Matt McCann grounded out. What did you see out of your team in that weekend series?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're obviously off to a slow start. The offense just hasn't been hitting. I think we're hitting 220 as a team right now, and we're not getting that key hit. We've had men on base, but we're just not getting that key hit. Like you said, Matt grounding out in the top of the ninth with the bases loaded. Base hit there, we win that game, and the game's being tied late in the game in the 8th inning of all 3 of those games. Comes down to, we got a lot of freshman pitchers, and they're still finding their way and adjusting. Like the one game we lost where Timmy Quinn came in and threw basically a wild pitch on a curveball in the dirt with a runner at third. It's the wrong pitch call. I got a freshman catcher that was catching them. So, we're learning from mistakes, and the young guys are going to make some of those mistakes, but we need to make them now, and we need to let them develop now so that during the real season, to play the conference games, that we're a better team, and that's what we're kind of hoping for.
One player who did have a good weekend down at Longwood offensively was Ryan Brennan. Your starting left fielder, now closer also, but at the plate he had a very good offensive weekend. What did you see out of him?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's a stud. I mean, he was terrific for us last year. He's one of our best players, and I think he led the team in RBIs last year with 30 RBIs, and he was out for 10 games. So, the kid definitely carries a great stick for us. He's done a great job. Unfortunately, he's alone right now. Jason Fatziger's hit the ball pretty decent. He's hitting about 300, and I don't think we got another hitter over 250. So basically, Ryan's kind of carried the offense for the last week and a half, and I don't believe that Dylan Spray's going to hit 118 like he's hitting right now, or 130, whatever he's hitting, or some of these other guys that have low batting averages. They've proven track records. Giacchis and Spray and Joel, they all got proven track records. So it's just a question of time, and hopefully, if they're hitting that low right now, that means there's a hitting streak in them, and hopefully that means there's a winning streak in us at some point soon.
Fast forward a couple days, you went on the road Tuesday to Lafayette. You got your second win of the season, a 7-6 come from behind victory. Well, actually, you were ahead at one point, but you were tied up heading to the 9th inning. Bobby Romano with a big 9th inning home run to give your team the lead and eventually the win. You also had a great offensive performance from Shane Siebler, who had 3 hits and 4 RBIs. What did you see out of your team in that game?
Yeah, we actually were leading that game 6-3 in the 7th and gave back 2 in the 7th and 1 in the 8th to make it a 6-6 tie. And, Bobby homered to lead off the 9th, which kind of saved us from blowing that game. And, again, I talk about freshman mistakes, and I told the guy we made a bad throw from the outfield that allowed them to move up a runner to second and third rather than keeping him at first and second. Next kid hit a ground ball to third, which would have been a double play to end the inning instead of run scored on the play. So those little things that cost you a run here and there makes the game tied instead of us having a lead. And again, a lot of it's just young guys playing for the first time that don't have experience yet. And as they gain more experience, they're going to get better at it. I mean, I firmly believe that. So the great part about that game was even though we staggered, we did find a way to win. We found a way to win. Brennan came in and closed the door in the bottom of the 9th. We did get some real good performances from a lot of kids that day. The team started hit. I think we had 10 hits in that game. Shane, obviously, big day. Being back home in Pennsylvania, it's his hometown. He was, 15 minutes away. He had all kinds of family there, grandma, grandpa, everybody was there. So, he had quite a crowd for himself, and he put on a performance with a 4 RBI day. And, Shane's one of the troopers. We kind of count on him. Like I said, another proven winner for us.
Yesterday, you had your home opener here. You had St. John's in, a Big East member. And let's just take a second here to talk about that. So far in non-conference play, you've played Maryland Eastern Shore team from Maryland. Then you went to Longwood, who's in the Big South. Now, St. John's from the Big East coming here yesterday. 2 teams that are going to finish the year with pretty good records and ranking pretty highly among teams across the country. What's it like in non-conference play when you have to schedule up, so to speak, against some of these teams?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for us coming out of the gym and everything, it's just a lot harder for us. St. John's been down south for a couple of weekends already playing, and they're obviously a better team than us. I mean, that's a given. They're a Big East team. They're a top-ranked team in the Big East. They won the Big East last year. So we knew we were in for, a tough ball game. I didn't expect it to be quite the way it went. I'm still not sure if St. John's has stopped scoring yet, to be honest. I mean, it was a disaster with that. But you know what? The good part about games like that is it makes your kids realize what they still have to achieve and how much more they got to work to get to where they want to get to. Because, yeah, we played some quality games, and the Big South playing Longwood every game tied in the eighth inning. That says something. I mean, I think that says we're getting better because, before years, like even Pat McCall said to me, he's like, 2 years ago we played those teams, we probably lose 11-2. St. John's obviously was just a bad day. Johnny Chalupa was making his first start in a year and a half. Struggled first, I think it was first 4 batters. He'd given up 3 runs, and then he kind of settled down a little bit. But we just wanted to get him work. The idea was to get him 3 innings of work, get him up to 50 pitches or so that he's ready to go over the weekend, and then hopefully next week in the conference. And that's, everything comes down to the conference. There's no at-large bids in the Northeast ever. I mean, Campbell University a couple of years ago won 40-some games. They didn't go. Stony Brook won 40-some games. They didn't go. The way you get to the tournament is by winning your conference. And so our main concern is when we get to conference play. We've been trying different guys. I've been playing different guys in the outfield. As you and I mentioned before, we taped this about Jose De Leon playing the outfield a little bit. So, we're kind of trying a couple of guys to just get a feel for what we think will work best come the regular season.
Coach, as you look forward here, you have Lehigh coming in for a doubleheader on Saturday, and then you're going to go out there to play the Mountain Hawks for a doubleheader on Sunday. Hofstra comes in next Tuesday during spring break. And as you mentioned, conference play, because of the new format in the league, is already upon us in 2 weekends. So by next Friday, you're into conference play. So not to get too far ahead, but how do you think your team is, and how do you think they've done so far, and what do you expect to do this weekend to get ready for that Mount St. Mary's series?
It's amazing, and obviously I feel like we were off to a bad start, especially for the team that I think we have. But I went and looked at the stats the other day from previous years. I've been here 5 years. All 5 years, at the end of 10 games, we've been 3-7. We split the doubleheader on Saturday. We're 3-7. So that's kind of where we've been. It's kind of what we always get off to a slow start here because of the facility situation with indoor practices and stuff. So if the weather's bad and we're not out on our field, we're just always a little bit behind the 8 ball starting out. So hopefully we win. We at least split this weekend, and we'll be 3-7 as we've been for 5 years. And then it's how we turn the corner. I mean, last year we were 6-15, so it was 20 games before we got going, and ended up making the playoffs. So, obviously, like you just said, we don't have that kind of time this year because the league starts sooner. So we got to get our act together by next Friday and make sure that we're ready to pursue conference play, especially opening at home. My line to guys always is you got to win at home. That's the most important place to win. And speaking of winning, let's give a nod out to our basketball team being NEC champions for the first time in 11 years. We're very proud of them. Very happy for Greg Herender and his staff and his players. Our baseball guys are real close with the basketball guys. They support them 1,000%, and we wish them the best in the tournament.
All right, Coach, thank you very much for joining us. We'll catch up with you again next week in advance of the Mount St. Mary's series. You can catch up with everything that goes on with the FDU Knights baseball program after each game by visiting FDUKnights.com.